Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome, a very warm welcome indeed to this festive IUSSP event. I am Nico van Imwegen. I'm the Secretary General of the IUSSP, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of our council. We are the Worldwide Association of Population Experts, and if you're not yet a member, it's definitely worthwhile thinking about it and joining us. Because we have, if you're a younger colleague, lots of activities for you that you're interested in, and we have a very attractive package for younger members. So it's good to know that all of our activities are member-driven, and we have quite a lot of these activities. Let me just mention the scientific panels that we have. At this moment, we have 16 or 17, and they cover the whole wide field of population studies. One of these panels is the early career panel. And at IUSSP, we really cherish the inputs of our next generation of colleagues in our work. So, of course, we are also organizing an international population conference. And this is, of course, the Olympics of demography. And the next venue will be in Australia, in beautiful Brisbane. And it will be the first time in 8 years that we are organizing this conference in person. So this is an ideal opportunity for you to join beautiful Australia and a great conference. You're more than welcome there. So now let's go to the event of today, which is the first ever celebration of the laureates of the Early Career Awards of the IUSSP. Now, let me say something about these awards. They were established in 2023, and I quote, to acknowledge and honor outstanding contributions to the development of our discipline and the broad field of population studies by early career colleagues in the various regions of the world, and to boost the global visibility of their achievements. The awards were made in a unique collaboration with the regional population associations. So for Africa, this was the Union of African Population Studies, UAPS. For Asia and the Pacific, the Asian Population Association, APA. For Europe, the European Association for Population Studies, EAPS. For Latin America and the Caribbean, the Latin American Population Association, ALAP. And for North America, the Population Association of America. And we are very proud of this collaboration. And all these regional associations took part in the jury for our early career awards. And we have, as you know, 1 award per region. Now over to you, Shireen, for the celebration of our laureates of this year. Thank you.
Thanks, Nico. I just wanted to say that early career scholars in our field are so rarely acknowledged, although the work they do is often as or more productive and more noteworthy than the work that the more established demographers do. So in that sense, it's really an opportune time to celebrate their achievements. The IUSSP is proud to have initiated this award program and honors the contributions of our next generation of outstanding scholars from each region of the globe. We received an enthusiastic response from early career scholars, and this response signifies to me the need for and the importance of such an award, as well as the respect that IUSSP receives from our early career colleagues. The submissions we received were really excellent. And so all the more, I want to congratulate our awardees for being top in class. It wasn't easy to make the decision, and you were obviously the ones who excelled in a group of excellent candidates. As Nico said, the initiative has been really collaborative. The jury, as you just heard, included those both representing the regional associations as well as representing the IUSSP. I'd like to acknowledge all of their contributions to this initiative, which was so ably led by our council colleague Nico and backed up by Paul, who you all know probably better than us. And most of all, I'd like to thank the early career scientists for the contributions they make and their enthusiastic participation in the process. So congratulations to Raquel Zanatta Coutinho and Amanda Stevenson, our two winners from North and Latin America. So now let me turn the session over to Irene Cacique, a council member from Latin America, to introduce Raquel, the Early Career Awardee from this region. Go ahead.
Thank you, and hello everyone. I'm just gonna make a very brief intro to Raquel. Raquel is a demographer, of course, and her interest in demographic issues has always gone hand by hand with her sensitivity and commitment to social problems, and throughout her still short professional career, her academic achievements have been very significant and profuse. For instance, she is an assistant professor at CEDEPLAR since 2017. She has taught many different courses at the undergraduate and graduate student level. She has worked on multiple research projects, and she has already been the leader of several of them. And Raquel has also published in very prestigious demographic journals and is currently a CNPq fellow, a distinguished fellowship granted in Brazil. But in parallel, and as significant as her academic productivity, she has been achieving another aspects. Like, for instance, one fair aspect is that Raquel's works makes visible the double working day that she, like so many women, carry out battling day by day to reconcile her family responsibilities with her academic ones, in this specific case by raising two young children. Raquel is also particularly dedicated to working with young undergraduate students, promoting their interest in demographic research and planting the seeds for future population scholars. Another activity that she undertakes with enthusiasm is the development of programs that benefit the Brazilian society at large, such as the project Sentido do Nascer, which seeks to raise awareness about prematurity and infant and maternal mortality. I would like to end by saying that I do not know Raquel personally, but having had the opportunity to carefully review her work as well as the other candidates for this award, leaves me with the enthusiasm to meet them in the future and with the hope that we will continue to generate many researchers in Latin America with similar profiles committed to a more egalitarian and just world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irene, for the beautiful presentation. I will share my screen. Can you all see it? Okay, I apologize, but I will read it. Dear IUSSP community, thank you so much for being here today. I was very honored to be considered for this award when we have many wonderful examples of young PhDs doing amazing work worldwide. I am representing all of them. I was born and raised in Belo Horizonte, Brazil, which is also the city where I currently live. I was first drawn to demography while still an undergrad in the social communication department at the Federal University of Minas Gerais. It was early 2000s, and at that time, Brazil was taking the lead of other developing nations to reduce poverty and inequality. After getting to know the UN Millennium Development Goals, I immediately felt the urge to use my future career to contribute to the country's development and the improvements of the well-being of the most vulnerable. As an undergraduate student, I was researching campaigns portraying older women at the risk of HIV infections. I soon discovered that demography was a useful tool to direct efforts of public health campaigns. I started taking undergraduate courses in demography, and soon came an opportunity to study abroad at the University of Texas at Austin. There, I was lucky to join an ongoing research on contraceptive access on the border of the US and Mexico. I learned the wonders and challenges of fieldwork and of using primary data, and I found myself excited about research methods. A little after, I returned to Brazil. I was accepted into the master's program in demography at CEDEPLAR. During those 2 years of challenging coursework, I continued to delve into the field of sexual and reproductive health, while also being among excellent demographers, both professors and students, concerned with the quality and precision of data and techniques. After completing the master's degree in demography in 2011, despite being in love with a guy I had just met, I moved to the United States to pursue a PhD in sociology at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I was interested in the mechanisms behind the social inequalities we observe in everyday life and along the life course. Life found its ways, and my boyfriend, who later became my husband, was able to follow me in the pursuit of my dreams. I defended my PhD dissertation in 2016, almost at the same moment that our baby son, Theodore, who was born while I was writing my dissertation, turned 1. The social climate provided by my generous and good-hearted cohort members and professors helped reduce the anxieties and pressures of being in a PhD program abroad. To this day, I still miss the social interactions and their genuine friendship. I immediately returned to Brazil and joined a postdoc position to investigate demographic responses to exogenous events, such as public health crises and natural and human-made disasters. A year later, in mid-2017, I passed the hiring exams to be admitted as an assistant professor of demography at CEDEPLAR. I was back to where my story with demography began, and I would be living close to my family, allowing my husband to continue his career. The security of paid maternity leave allowed me to resume my reproductive plans. Our daughter, Catarina, was born in June 2018. And by the way, my children have gone to many conferences. In the next slides, I will briefly present a few things that have kept me very busy in the last years, besides raising 2 children. There are 3 things I'm passionate about, and they are women's health, life course, and social justice. I have been trying to incorporate them in everything I do for teaching, research, and outreach. Regarding teaching, the demography department at CEDEPLAR is a small department with big responsibilities, so I have taught different disciplines and course levels. It's amazing to see students' eyes when they realize how demography explains most phenomena they see around the world and how useful it can be for their future occupations. In 2023, I was in a group of 8 professors who received the teaching award granted by the university. This recognition was assigned, and my effort and passion were making a difference. Besides teaching, I have heavily invested in academic advising. So far, I have been responsible for supervising over 40 students pursuing academic goals, such as PhD dissertations, master theses, and senior theses, and also collective efforts like fieldwork. This word cloud brings the words utilized in the title of their main productions. As you can see, women, reproductive health, and fertility are among the most frequent themes. In terms of research, I have dedicated most of my time to research on fertility transitions and their social determinants. I have worked with both primary and secondary data, with both qualitative and quantitative methods, and with data sets of various sizes, ranging from small cross-section online data to large longitudinal samples. Since 2016, I have been following the impacts of the Zika epidemics in Brazil, and most recently, the COVID pandemic. My findings have demonstrated how these exogenous factors can model reproductive behavior and disturb the availability and access to sexual and reproductive health services. My project entitled Sexual and Reproductive Health, Gender and Conjugality in Minas Gerais in Times of COVID-19 is now conducting semi-structured interviews with women at different life stages in 3 cities in the state of Minas Gerais. A team of professors and students is investigating barriers to accessing health services, changes in family roles and reproductive decisions, engagement in romantic and sexual relationships, and women's perceptions about the gender revolution and their aging process. Ignited by my students' interests, in the last 4 years, my research has expanded to maternal health, comprising maternal mortality, maternal near misses, and quality of prenatal care. In line with that, I'm also the PI of a project entitled Women's Perception of Obstetric Care Received in Belo Horizonte and Its Consequences for Women's and Children's Health. Using a unique design, we collected data on women's experiences during prenatal care, childbirth, and postpartum that allowed us to distinguish between perceived and unnoticed obstetric violence. We revealed women are subjected to a great deal of hidden violence when they are submitted to interventions without scientific evidences that are commonly performed during childbirth assistance. Some interventions worsen health outcomes for mothers and children and represent important human rights violation. I have also collaborated on papers about reproductive justice, such as abortion rights. Some of my research also focus on associations of religiosity and sexual initiation, as well as the impacts of family formation on male risk behavior. Besides conducting research, I am a proud coordinator of the Working Group on Fertility Behavior, Sexual and Reproductive Health of the Brazilian Association of Population Studies. This year, we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the International Conference on Population and Development that took place in the city of Cairo in 1994. I was born in 1985, which means that when the Cairo conference happened, I was the age my son is today. That is scary because although Brazil has come a long way in providing access to contraceptives and healthcare, we have also watched important setbacks, such as pervasive gender violence and unwanted pregnancies, stagnant maternal mortality ratios, and abortion prohibitions, just to name a few. I have met some of the people who have helped to build reproductive health policies and rights in my country and around the world. Some of these people are in their 90s. If it's sad for me to comprehend how after so many decades, developing countries still stumble across basic human rights, I imagine how disappointing it is for them. Being here now as a public servant makes me feel like I must keep on going, building on their work and being the chain that will link them to the next generation, one that will hopefully live in a society with real social justice and gender and racial equity. I want to spend my last 2 minutes presenting my work on outreach. Since 2021, I have been coordinating a project called Senses of Birth, an award-winning exhibition open to the public free of charge that is located at a public park in Belo Horizonte. The project was created by a team of specialists back in 2014 and has had over 50,000 visitors. In the interactive circuit, we use sensory experiences to provide the population with information on the benefits of vaginal childbirth, debunk myths related to birth and delivery, and advise on the harms of unnecessary cesarean sections, especially the ones scheduled before women go into labor, before the baby is even born, which increases preterm births and low birth weight. Currently in Brazil, almost 6% of births are C-section, when the recommended rate is 15. Unfortunately, the moment of birth is neither the first nor the last moment where women's autonomy is hindered. Obstetric violence leaves profound scars on women's hearts and bodies, so we use emotion and beauty to question the role Brazilian society has given to pregnancy and birth. During the 20-minute circuit, the public goes through various interactive environments and gets to experiment with seeing themselves pregnant and exposed to the pressures of commercial sales, controversies, and hunches of people and malicious health professionals, lecturing them on the advantages of scheduled C-sections, which are clean, quick, and painless, and the disadvantages of the normal delivery. After this lousy and uncomfortable situation, the public proceeds to the sensory experience of birth. They first enter the uterus, a cozy and warm room amid the sounds of heartbeats and noises that reproduce what the child hears when in the mother's womb. The gentle voice of a baby tells his mom he's getting ready for the outside world. "Can you wait for me?" the baby asks. Visitors then proceed to the birth canal and are born, greeted by the image of a large and welcoming mother with open arms. It's almost impossible not to get emotional at this point when one has the opportunity to re-signify their existence. Pregnancy and birth lay the basis for all the other demographic events. That's why improving sexual and reproductive health and rights is fundamental to reducing maternal and infant mortality. Increasing well-being during pregnancy, birth, and postpartum is the first step in supporting the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals agenda. What the Census of Birth has taught me is that it takes more than good papers to make a real change. Finally, I want to conclude by saying that I've had a lot of fun on the way here, although I had many cloudy and stormy days. Being a mother of 2 young children, being a junior scholar in a competitive academic world, Building a career during a pandemic with a conservative government and with limited funding for research, coordinating dozens of projects at the same time, and trying to help students deal with their mental health problems is not easy. Luckily, my cumulative advantage kept me surrounded by wonderful people, including the brilliant scholars who took the time to sign the letter and endorse my application for this award, and also the colleagues from the Latin American Population Association, the ALAP, who selected my application. Thank you for believing in my purpose. I'm very proud to represent and serve our community of demographers. I also want to use this opportunity to thank a group of people who are very important to my trajectories. To my advisors and mentors over the years, thank you for your life-changing guidance and for being such a source of inspiration for me. To my colleagues at CEDEPLA, some of whom were also my professors, thank you for embracing my ideas and hold my hands. We can see Laura Wong here, right in the middle. To my students, and I couldn't find everyone's picture, thank you for trusting this young professor. You all give me much more than I give to you. And Ludmila, thank you for making these beautiful slides. To my family, I have a big one, but here they are represented by mom and dad, my foundation, and my biggest supporters. To my children, for being the ones who recharge my batteries and who have put my whole world and priorities into perspectives. And to Andre, my husband, who is also a demographer, thank you for giving me a mixture of down-to-earth advice and uplifting encouragement. Thank you for making it possible to conciliate maternity and career. The journey hasn't been easy, but it has been amazing. Thank you, IUSSP, for recognizing the role of young scholars and for letting me share a little bit of what people usually don't see. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I get emotional.
No, you make us so emotional too. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful hearing the trajectory of your life and your achievements. Amazing and really worthy of this award. So now for my first most delightful task, Raquel, it gives me great pleasure on behalf of IUSSP to award you this Early Career Award for 2023 for Latin America. The award recognizes and celebrates your remarkable contributions, and I'm sure many of us are looking forward to following your career over the years. So, hearty congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So the time has come now for our second award. And so let me give the floor to Shelley Clark, council member from the North America region, to introduce our second awardee, Dr. Amanda Stevenson. Over to you, Shelley.
Thank you, Shireen. Yes, it's my pleasure to be here and my sincere pleasure to have the opportunity to introduce Professor Amanda Stevenson as the first recipient of the Early Career Award in North America region. Professor Stevenson is a sociologist trained in demographic and computer science methods. She received her PhD from the University of Texas in Austin in 2016, and in 2017, she joined the faculty in the sociology department at the University of Colorado Boulder as an assistant professor. As with the other regions, we did receive several exceptional candidates' profiles to review, but Professor Stevenson's nomination stood out for several important reasons. First is her innovation and excellence in scholarship and scientific productivity. She is a remarkable scholar. She has written 24 peer-reviewed articles, which have been published in leading journals, including Demography, Perspectives on Sexual and Reproductive Health, in the New England Journal in Medicine. In a recent publication, Demography, for example, she estimates that the total abortion ban in the US would increase pregnancy-related deaths by 21%. Other influential work in her research examines the impact of removing Planned Parenthood from the Texas Women's Health Program and denials of judicial bypass on consent for abortion for minors. The second reason that really impressed the committee was the impact of her work outside of academia. Her work has been cited by the United States Supreme Court and in many prestigious outlets, including the New York Times, the USA Today, the Los Angeles Times, and other places. As such, she is playing a key role in informing both the public and lawmakers about many critical issues. Our third reason is her really impressive leadership of large and collaborative teams. She currently leads the Colorado Fertility Project, which uses a truly massive administrative data to examine life course consequences and access to highly effective contraception for nearly all U.S. residents. At a time when women across the United States are losing their reproductive rights and access to health care, the importance of Professor Stevenson's research cannot be overstated. It has enormous implications, of course, for the well-being of American women, but also for women across North America and indeed around the world. I therefore cannot think of a more worthy recipient of this award, and I wish her all the best in her ongoing research and outreach activities.
Wow, thank you so much for those kind words. And thank you to all of you here today and to the IUSSP and the PAA for this very surprising and supportive moment of to reflect. So I'm an assistant professor at the University of Colorado Boulder, and I'm in the Department of Sociology and the Institute of Behavioral Science. I'm a sociologist, but I haven't always been a sociologist. I have been in this sociology department since 2017, and I did receive my PhD under the supervision of Joseph Potter at the University of Texas at Austin in 2016. But I started out as a person who had a degree in math and computer science and worked in family planning policy evaluation, doing probabilistic match merges back when that was something you had to use measure theory to do. So I did that for a long time before I realized that demography and the evidence that we can produce in demography was a really important part of the debates in my country about access to the means of controlling fertility, something that is both highly consequential and highly politicized around the world, increasingly so also in the United States. So that's what brought me to the University of Texas, and that's what brought me to demography, the vision I had of the power that the evidence that we provide offers. So I'm grateful to be able to now actually generate that evidence as part of the very amazing groups that I work with. The United States has had a pretty radical change in the way that access to the means of controlling fertility is regulated. US states have diverged in their restrictiveness of abortion and contraception. This restrictiveness, as Shelley mentioned, is consequential not just for the US, but also for the world, because the politics of the US doesn't stay in the US. And this impacts both politics in other countries, but also funding for family planning services in other countries. So I'm very, very concerned with how the trajectory of US politics is potentially going to impact people worldwide. And one of the things that's changing in the US is that it's not just abortion that is being restricted. We're increasingly seeing calls to restrict methods of contraception. This began in some sense, or really came to a policy head in Texas, where I did my PhD work right around the time I got there, where Texas defunded the Planned Parenthood affiliates that had previously received funding for contraception the year after I began my PhD studies. And this politicization of IUDs, oral contraception, and other methods of contraception has escalated nationwide. We see calls to ban hormonal methods and IUDs coming from pretty mainstream political actors in the United States now. So it's the evaluation of these proposed restrictions, as well as the actual restrictions that we've seen, and then the restrictions on abortion, that has animated most of my research. But one of the wonderful things about being in the academy is that you don't just get to do research, you also get to teach people how to do this amazing thing that we all try to do to advance human knowledge. So one of my very favorite parts of my job is teaching undergraduate social statistics to students in the sociology department who are overwhelmingly scared of math. And I love teaching them that math is not only not scary, but deeply, deeply, deeply theoretical and not just about numbers and symbols. So that's my great privilege and has been the primary focus of most of my teaching work during my time at the University of Colorado. I also get to teach sociology classes about abortion and contraception and about sex and gender, which is a wonderful opportunity to see how the theories of sociology intersect with the lives of young people. And this is very generative for my understanding of what's coming in the work that I do around reproduction and access to the means of controlling fertility. My graduate teaching is similar in nature, though it's more advanced, of course, and I focus on the teaching students to use methods for causal inference with observational data, as well as reproductive health and the demography of reproduction. I'm grateful to work with truly exemplary scholars who are in their postgraduate training, postdocs, and I'm very, very fortunate to work with a group of colleagues at the University of Colorado who have begun offering a demography of abortion workshop, which in the United States is a particularly important thing because abortion measurement and demography in the US is sequestered from the rest of scholarship and public health surveillance. So it's a special topic in many ways, and I'm very grateful to be able to work on that workshop with my colleagues Leslie Root and Jane Mencken. I've done almost nothing alone in my career, virtually nothing. And this began at the beginning of my PhD training, where I worked under the supervision of Joe Potter at the University of Texas at Austin and his Texas Policy Evaluation Project, at which we evaluated the impacts of Texas's sort of leading edge restrictions on family planning, both abortion and contraception in the early 2010s. I got to see how evidence was both impactful and not impactful in the politics of reproduction in the US. And I learned how to translate results while simultaneously spending years doing the painstakingly rigorous work that could potentially inform policy. That training really set the stage for what came next, which was that when I went to the University of Colorado, that state had just expanded access to contraception, the opposite direction of what had been happening in Texas. And this is just an example of the divergent trajectories of US states around reproduction. So at Colorado, together with a truly amazing team of colleagues, we've been evaluating how this expansion in access to contraception in about 2009 in Colorado has been associated with changes in people's life courses. In order to do that, though, in the United States, we don't have population registers. And so we've had to build individual level longitudinal data for virtually everyone in the US. This is not something that had previously been available in the US, but because of a collaboration with the US Census Bureau, specifically Dr. Katie Genetic, an economist there, we've been able to do that work to build this individual level longitudinal data set for population research in the US. And we're very, very grateful that we're actually able to assess how access to the means of controlling fertility has made people's lives better, increasing their educational attainment, decreasing their exposure to household poverty, and a variety of other outcomes. That data set that we have been generating, it's really this is truly, truly a collaborative effort. It's called the Reproduction in People's Lives, or RIPPLE data set. And we're very eager for others to use this to evaluate and describe the experience of people in the United States, the heterogeneity of which has been obscured to some extent by our overwhelming focus on national level data. The US states are important and potentially becoming more important as we see divergent politics shaping state houses around the country. But these sort of big projects have only been possible because the formal demographic methods that I learned in graduate school and that I've learned along the way as an assistant professor have made it possible to investigate questions that are really important in ways that wouldn't be possible without demography. So, for example, my ability to project the impact of totally banning abortion in the United States on pregnancy-related death was entirely the result of the fact that demography has investigated the processes by which pregnancy transpires and the way to construct appropriate counterfactuals for relative risk. This similarly is the way that I've been able to assess the relative risk of dying due to having an abortion compared to remaining pregnant. Without multiple decrement life tables, this would be impossible to calculate. Without cause-deleted life tables, this would be impossible to calculate. Similarly, we have in the United States seen an increase in abortion incidence, which has been unexplainable for the most part. There haven't even been very many guesses about why it might be happening. But as demographers, we know that miscarriage is a competing risk. So the changing gestational duration of abortions to earlier and earlier gestations as people become more and more aware of pregnancy, as abortion is increasingly politicized and providers provide abortion at earlier and earlier gestational durations, means that some of the increase in abortion incidence is due to the fact that some of those pregnancies would have ended in miscarriage. Without formal demography, we would not be able to describe this very important, politically salient, policy salient, and salient for people's lives change in this national level statistic. I'm very grateful that learning demography has made it possible for me to provide these kinds of clear explanations for things that are otherwise intractable in the policy landscape of reproduction in the US. Very grateful. But none of this would have been possible, like I said, without the incredible colleagues and collaborators and students that have been foundational to all of the things that I've described here. I'm very grateful to my advisor who led the work at the Texas Policy Evaluation Project that made it possible for me to both do the demography that we needed to assess the impacts of Texas's restrictions on contraception and abortion, as well as to translate those results to policymakers at the state and national level. At the University of Colorado, I've been incredibly fortunate to be mentored by an amazing team of demographers and social scientists, including Jane Menken and Sarah Yateman. There have been so many times when I didn't know how to answer a question or which questions mattered the most, and they were willing to listen hard and think hard about how to answer questions, about what answers would be consequential, and where to put our effort. And that work of figuring out what to do, what will matter, how can we advance the conversation, that work is truly inspiring, and I'm deeply, deeply, deeply grateful for everyone on this slide who has truly changed the way that I do spend my time. Communicating the results of demographic research is an unfortunately huge part of my job. This is because demography is a little nerdy, and if we don't speak clearly about the implications of our findings, they are misrepresented. This is increasingly true in the United States, where misinformation and disinformation about reproduction are increasingly mainstream. The idea that oral contraception is physically dangerous, that IUDs are abortifacients, that even oral contraception is an abortifacient, that abortion is deadly, all of these ideas are widespread and increasing in the United States. As a consequence, I spend a great deal of time working with journalists to make sure that their baseline understanding of the issues, including how to measure abortion, what contraception is, like really basic stuff, are accurate. This is thankless in many ways, but incredibly satisfying, because this is where my training allows me to truly help people understand in ways that lets them help others understand. It's much like teaching, but the stakes are immediate and very high in ways that teaching is more generative, but you've got more time with people. I'm grateful that I was mentored to prioritize this in my PhD studies by Joseph Potter. This is not something I would have been able to do without that support. I've also received support to do this from the organizations, the PAA and my department and my university. When I asked to go testify in a federal trial about the exclusion of Planned Parenthood from the Medicaid program in Texas on the very first week of my job, I asked the dean if I could leave during classes, and he said to me, "We knew what we were getting." And that support has made it possible for me to continue to translate my research for policy audiences and for the public. And I'm deeply grateful for that opportunity, which is not available to all scholars, particularly in the United States at this time. So thank you so much to the incredible mentors who continue to make it possible for me to do any of this. To my colleagues without whom I would have achieved none of these things, to the PAA, which literally is the community that allows me to be a demographer, and to the IUSSP for this recognition and for the leadership that you offer to all demographers around the world. Also, thank you to the incredible people who developed the demographic methods that we all use. There's no There's no way to do this work without the generations of mathematical and formal demography that allow us to rigorously assess the processes that we study. And of course, while I didn't mention them nearly as beautifully as Raquel, thank you to my family and the community who have modeled the grace and generosity that make it possible for me to aspire to be similar to them. I too am a mother, and being a mother and a scholar has its many, many challenges. And my husband has made many sacrifices so that the things that I've described now could happen. And for that, I am deeply grateful. So thank you again for this recognition.
Thank you, Amanda. Your life story is truly inspiring. And I think all of us look forward to seeing much more of what you do. It's again now my great pleasure to make this award on behalf of the IUSSP, to award you, Amanda, the award for 2023 for North America. We recognize and celebrate your remarkable contributions and look forward to following your career over the years. Truly
Thank you so
wonderful,
much.
and you're very much deserve this award. Okay, so we've just heard about the life and work of two outstanding scholars. I now have the pleasure of opening the floor to members of the audience for people to say a few words about the awardees and or ask questions. Please make your interventions brief. We have a few who've already requested, and they are Paula Miranda Ribeiro. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Shireen. I'm very happy to be here. I'd like to congratulate both Raquel and Amanda. I'm going to begin with talking about Amanda. We are kind of sisters. We have the same advisor, of course, decades apart, but I'm very happy to see her winning this award. And it's hard, speaking about Raquel is something really hard. I've known her since she was an undergraduate student, and I had the chance to follow her career closely. And I have two things that I'd like to add from all the things that were already said. Raquel has a very special characteristic, is that her eyes shine easily because she loves so many topics and she gets so enthusiastic about so many things. And I think this is really important in a teaching career, because that translates into students also interested in many things. So I think this is a very important feature of Raquel. And the other thing is that although she went through a very serious health problem while she was taking her master's, that didn't delay her 1 minute from her objectives and from what she wanted. And I think that makes her a very special person. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak about these two wonderful women. And I hope they serve as example of for all the students. And I'm here with several of our students, and I'm sure that many of them are watching, from different parts of the world. So I hope these two brilliant women serve as inspiration to other students around. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. The other is Jane Mencken. Jane?
Thank you, Shireen, and thank you both Shireen started out by saying that you as young scholars may be more productive and more noteworthy than many of us and many others who have been working for many years. I think that's absolutely true. I fully expect to watch you as you progress in your careers. I want to say something about Joe Potter and UT Austin, since he figures and UT Austin figures in both of your careers. I should tell you that Joe Potter, Myron Gutman, who was director of the UT Population Center years ago, and I entered graduate school the same day in 1971 at the Office of Population Research in 3 different departments. Myron, unusual for demography in history, Joe in economics, and I was in sociology. Part of the reason that I bring this up is that all 3 of us are still passionate about what we are doing. And I hope you have the good fortune to have at least 50 years of experience and contribution. I want to say something about Amanda. Amanda has been a gift to be at the end of my career, and to have Amanda and the others in the group that she showed you is absolutely amazing. They are amazing, but Amanda is the leader. No question about it. We would not be able to be studying abortion, to have constructed Ripple, to have done these many things without her. And for her to be able to combine truly fine, outstanding academic talent with her commitment to communicating to the world. Just amazing, and something I think all of us will try to do more of in the future. So congratulations to both of you, and thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Others? I think we're all overwhelmed by these 2 wonderful talks.
Jalal wants to speak.
Oh, Jalal. Sorry, Jalal, I didn't see you.
No, that's fun. Shireen,
Yeah.
let me also congratulate the 2 excellent awardees, Amanda and Raquel, for the both excellent work that they've done and the excellent presentation that they had here. We learned a lot. You made us proud for different reasons. First, doing research on topics of demographic challenges and providing a better understanding of what is happening in societies. I think it's absolutely essential, and you've done a great job by the studies that you've done so far. Secondly, it was really moving how you combined life and academia. I think the way that you explain your talents and also contributions that you made along the way that you made your life and with all challenges, I think it was really a lesson that others also can learn. Thirdly, contributing to demography, as others also mentioned, I think it's very important the way that you were handling the issues, the methods and theories. I think that was good and important. And the IUSSP, I think, should be proud and is proud as a union that cares for strengthening population field through fostering collaborations and also nurturing the new generation of demographers that you are one of the excellent examples that everyone can see. And this is a big responsibility now in your shoulders to carry out your research and also to train the new generation of demographers. And finally, I think it was the best example of collaboration between IUSSP and regional associations. Shireen, thank you, Shireen and Nico, also for your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Jalal. Any more?
Can I just add a little
Nico.
bit to what also Jalal and others all said. So first of all, congratulations to these wonderful laureates. It's really been a very great event. But I've been working with younger colleagues for all my life, and every time they have been a great inspiration, and for me a very steep, an important learning experience. So I have always enjoyed that. And I'm really very glad that now also in the IUSSP, in collaboration with the association, we managed to really make this visible to the entire population community. I'm really happy for that. And I think that this is a start of a beautiful tradition that IUSSP and the associations will continue. But a great event, and congratulations to all. Thank you.
Thanks, Nico. As you know, we have 3 additional awardees. The award ceremony for them, that is Aude Bernard from the Asia region, Heini Väisänen from the European region, and Chaimae Drioui from the African region. I think Chaimae is here with us. They're all were given the award earlier today, but and we couldn't do all 5 together because of obvious time zone differences. So these 3 have sent us short videos of themselves and their achievements, and I invite you all to stay on a few minutes to watch these videos.
Hello everyone, my name is Aude Bernard. I'm a demographer at the University of Queensland in Australia, where I work on migration. I could not be with you today, but I'm delighted to be the recipient of the inaugural IUSSP Award for ECRs for the Asia Pacific region. I'd like to thank the IUSSP, particularly Shireen and Nico, for supporting ECRs. And I also would like to congratulate my fellow finalists, Raquel, Amanda, Heini and Chaimae for the great work. I'd like to use this opportunity to discuss how we can better integrate migration into demographic research. And this is for 2 reasons. The first one is that migration has always been at the margin of demography, compared with fertility and mortality. Secondly, in the last 2 decades, migration studies has emerged as a separate field of inquiry. And as a result, migration has moved away from its demographic roots. And that is potentially a problem because many migration studies do not give full consideration to the methodological challenges of measuring migration. And so collectively as demographers, we have a key role to play in migration research. And to do this, we should aim to better integrate migration into demography. And there are 3 ways we can do this. The first one is through deeper theoretical integration by linking migration more explicitly to the first and the second demographic transition. The second way is through methodological cross-fertilization by adopting methods from different subfields of demography. For example, we applied parity progression ratios from the fertility literature to migration to understand how people transition from one migration to the next over the life course and explain differences in the level of internal migration over time and between countries. The third way to better integrate migration into demography is by focusing on cross-cutting issues that are relevant to fertility, mortality, and migration. An obvious topic is climate change. Another topic of importance is the intergenerational transmission of demographic behaviors. There is a large body of literature on parent-to-child similarities in marriage, fertility, and divorce. But research on parent-to-child transmission of migration behavior is more limited, but is an important avenue for future research that we're working on now. These examples show how we can collectively work to ensure that migration research remains true to its demographic roots. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Heini Väisänen and I work at IMED. Thank you so much for having me here today. I was given the task of saying something about my research in 2 to 3 minutes. So I will start by a short CV and then I will talk about my research interests. So I finished my PhD in demography at LSE in 2016. The topic of my thesis was a life course perspective to abortion in Finland. After that, I worked as a lecturer in social statistics and demography at the University of Southampton during 5 years full-time and then a couple of years part-time. Since December 2020, I've been working as a researcher at INED, and as of this January, I'm the PI of an ERC project called Social Inequalities in the Risk and Aftermath of Miscarriage. In terms of my research interests, one of the strong leading things is being interdisciplinary. My background in terms of my studies is in sociology, demography, feminist studies, and quantitative methods and statistics. And I've been trying to include all of these elements in my research. We started with my MSc dissertation and PhD thesis, which was on abortions, which I thought combined all of these four things quite nicely. And then I worked on abortions a lot since then, so it kind of stuck with me. My interest in feminist studies as well as quantitative methods also has taken me to a very nice research collective called FemQuant, where we bring these type of researchers together, and you can see our website here if you're interested. The second theme that I'm always interested in is the role of context, broadly speaking. So this could be the context of where someone lives, the society they're in. It could be the socioeconomic context or their interactions, or it could be the life course context. And this has led me to conduct studies, first of all, that are big scale cross-country comparisons to say something about the country context, or it could be about the social inequalities in sexual and reproductive health, or it could be looking at someone's life course longitudinally and see how reproductive events are linked to, for instance, later life health. And the third guiding principle is methodological challenges. So everything that I've ever studied is underreported, whether that's abortions or unintended pregnancies or miscarriage. All of those are very hard to study because people don't want to talk about them, which brings all sorts of measurement and methodological challenges that I very much like to tackle. At the end, I would like to thank the IUSSP for the award, and I would also like to thank all these colleagues and friends and family who helped me get there. And in case you would like to see some more information, please see the websites below or email me. Thank you. Bye.
Chaimae Drioui. I'm truly honored to be receiving the Early Career Award in Africa. I would like to thank the IUSSP and all the committee members for acknowledging my research contributions. I want to take this opportunity to share a bit about myself and my research career. I am an engineer in statistics and demography and a PhD in demography, graduated from the National Institute of Statistics and Applied Economics in Morocco. During my PhD, I have worked on fertility question with a particular emphasis on gender and women's empowerment approaches. I published in this regard a certain number of papers about the impact of women's empowerment on fertility level, fertility preferences, and the gap between the two components, so as to understand the woman's ability to achieve their desired number of children. I had also the opportunity to share and present my results in several national and international conferences. Currently, I keep working on the reproductive health issues with a focus on women's empowerment and other related approaches, trying also to extend the context studied to other African countries. Also, and the main project in which I'm currently involved in focuses on male fertility around the world, being conducted at the Catholic University of Louvain in Belgium. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to contribute to the growing body of research in this field. Once again, I am humbled to be recognized for my work, and I look forward to continue my research in demography. And thanks to everyone who has supported me along the way. I am truly grateful for this honor.
Okay. So you see, we have a truly inspirational set of our first early career awardees. I'm really delighted and want to congratulate all 5 of them for their remarkable careers and their very interesting and inspirational talks today. So now our time is up. It's time to close the ceremony. Thank you all for attending. Thank you again to our speakers. Thank you to the jury who made these wonderful decisions, and to the council and Nico, Shelley, Irene, who were so engaged in preparing for today. Okay, so that's it. Until next year or next time we have these awards.
And a big thank you to the president of the jury and the person who led us through this ceremony, which was really impressive. And a thank you to Paul Monet, the man behind the screens. Okay, thanks, Paul.
Yeah.